Welcome to the Markets Happy Hour podcast, a weekly markets update for investors the world over. Each week we discuss inflation, geopolitics, interest rates, equity markets, and other asset classes. To try to answer the question, what does this mean for my investment portfolio? Let's dive in.
We've spoken about the white knuckle effect that last week's tariff announcement caused. It showed that even though markets have become somewhat accustomed now to tariff news and to the uncertainty around its transmission, not knowing when exactly tariff is going to have an effect on the economy and who's going to pay the price, markets were still not ready for a shock to the degree that President Trump presented in the Truth Social post. The idea of 150% tariffs on China clearly smacked of a trade war that would be beyond the bounds of what markets were factoring in currently. And they reacted with what's been described here as a white knuckle moment. And as we'll show later, there has been a spike in market volatility in response. If we look to how index performed, we can see that there was a whipsaw around markets after, over the course of the weekend, President Trump reined in some of his comments. And there seemed to be more of an entente cordiale between the US and China. What we can also see here, though, is that clearly rare earth minerals and the supply of them is a very sensitive topic. They're clearly critical to the AI wave. Bitcoin reacts quite severely to any uptick in US-China tensions and tariff news. And looking at this chart on the bottom left, it's interesting to see that while many countries share global reserves of global rare earth mining production, we can see that the production is dominated by China at the moment. It now represents 68% of global production, with the US just behind, quite far behind it at 12%, Myanmar 11%, and then Australia 5%. And the other countries which have a reasonable share of reserves, such as Vietnam, Brazil, India, they do not yet have a reasonable share of production. So quite a bit to go there in terms of the reserves being reflected in production. China is still very dominant. And clearly that is a stick that it knows how to wield when the time is right.